Okay, in continuation to the last class, we've been dealing with attribute view. So these were the steps we looked at, and so in attribute view, we also have flexibility of creating a calculated column. Apart from the columns, what we derive from the table, we can also use some functions and derive a new column, which again will be an attribute. Measures are not allowed here. Okay. And we can also create hierarchies in attribute view. Okay, and these hierarchies could be two types. One is level based hierarchy, yeah, and one is parent child hierarchy. Yeah. Now let's get into hierarchies now. When you're creating hierarchies, you basically specify the name of the hierarchy and the label of the hierarchy, nothing but the description of the hierarchy. As part of next property, you specify the type of hierarchy. One is whether it is level based hierarchy or whether it is parent child hierarchy. These are the two types of hierarchies which are supported. Now what is level based hierarchy? Now look at this. So I want to build a hierarchy something like this. If you see, as a root node I have all. Under this I've got two countries, India and US. And at the next level I have some nodes. See, I can say this. State is like one level, country is one level, and root node is one level. And India and US are actually considered to be the nodes of the level country. AP, Telangana, Dallas, Chicago, all these are considered to be the nodes of this level state. So now what is my requirement? I am supposed to build a hierarchy with 3 levels where each level contains the values or nodes of a particular level or particular attribute. That is where we go with level based hierarchy. So we would like to build multiple level based hierarchy where the nodes of each level are represented by an attribute. Say for example, I have a level called country and I've got two nodes, India and US, and India and US are supposed to be the values of this attribute country. AP, Telangana, Dallas, Chicago are supposed to be the values of this attribute states. When you have a scenario like this, we go out with what? Level based hierarchy. So in this case, if you look at this node India, it is always under node level 1. If you look at this node AP, it is always under node level 2 only. So a particular node is always in particular level itself. Yeah. Now we also have something called parent-child hierarchy, where when you want to represent this parent-child relationships, like say I've got employee, so employee 1 has got manager 1, and a manager 1, the manager is employee 2. For employee 2, let's say there's another manager. So you want to have, if you look at this, if you're trying to build a hierarchy, if you're trying to build some hierarchy like this, say I have employee 1. For him, M1 is a manager. Let's say for M1 again, I have another manager called M2 here. So let's say this is the level as manager and this is employee. Now if you look at this node M1, it has been used at node level 2 as well as node level 1 also. So that is called as parent-child hierarchy. When the same node moves from one level, when the same node is being used in multiple node levels. Is my screen stuck for everyone? So do you have any issues in seeing the screen? Everyone, it's all fine, right?
Yes, sir, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. And
Yes, sir, it's
person,
fine.
yeah, please log in with your name, right? Please. I see someone is waiting for name. Please log in with your name. Yeah. So I've got manager and I've got employee. If you look at this node M1, it is being used in node level 1 as well as node level 2 also. So this is called as parent-child hierarchy. When a particular node is being used in multiple node levels, that is called as parent-child hierarchy. If you look at the other case, in case of level-based, you will see a particular node is used in only one node level. Say India is a node, is used only in country node. If you look at this node AP, it is used only in the node called states, in the node level as states. So employee and manager is the best example for parent-child. And if you say level-based, it's like you want to have an hierarchy on country, region, country, state, or district-wise, region-wise, all this, then that will be a level-based hierarchy. Like BW, you don't have anything like time-dependent, version-dependent, nothing is available. And hierarchies, what we have in HANA is very straightforward, very simple one. They're not so complex or they're not so matured. It's only initial level of this. And one more very important point is, let's say I create hierarchies in HANA. Let's say I create a view with hierarchies, and these hierarchies can only be consumed by any interface which is interacting through HANA through MDX interface. So I can consume these hierarchies in analysis for OLAP Excel or in Design Studio. But if I'm trying to create universe on this view through SQL interface, relational connection, and then consume in WebP, you will not be able to use these hierarchies. You have to recreate the hierarchies in the universe through navigation paths only. Okay, boss. The next property, in level-based hierarchy, if you go with level-based hierarchy, there is a property called node style. Boss. There is a property called node style, how the node of an hierarchy should be represented or shown. It is not for external purpose, this is only for internally, how it has to be represented. So I've got something like node style. So internally it stores that hierarchy in that format with parent-child data or a linking of the parent and children. So in what way these nodes have to be represented in those tables, that is what is specified with node style here. Say for example, if you say level name, it stores the value like this, say level dot B2. So B2 is actually the value. Yeah? If you refer to this, it says, look at this, state.ap, country.in, country.us, state.t. It holds each node is represented with the level and the name of it, name of the node. That's how it stores each node. If I say name only, it just stores only the node name, like say India, US, Telangana, AP, just stores only the node name. And if I say name path, it stores the node with the complete hierarchical parent ancestral link. Say A1 underscore dot B2 dot C3. Means C3 actually had a parent as B2, B2 had a parent as A1. It stores the complete link of the parents here. For example, if I have to store this node AP, it stores like AP.in dot all. It stores a complete link to the topmost ancestral parent here. Let me just it is disconnected now this. Okay. Now, if you remember for this BP001, we created a hierarchy, right? This was the hierarchy what we created. We can create one more also. I'll say Z test, and I'm going with level based. Let's say let me specify the levels. I want region, I want country, I want city, I want the partner IDs. Yeah. Then I'm storing with level name. Okay. I'm saying node style would be level name here. Yeah. Say okay and activate. Now when activate, it does create a column view in SysBig schema, right? There will be one column view which actually stores your hierarchy data. When I go to the SysBig, in the column view, let me filter only for Z test, yeah. Not for 9 cubics, mine is this, right? 9 cubics test. Okay. See this one, Z80 BP hierarchy, Z. Let me see the content of this view. If you see this view, look at this. Each node is stored as with the node level name. Say parent ID is one level dot the value, city dot Johannesburg, country dot ZA, region dot Africa, all dot all. So it's got the level dot the node name was. Because I said the hierarchy was level with level name. Now I say drop down and say name only. Yeah. Say okay and activate. You see now it only stores each node as just with the node value, node name alone. Yeah. If I say with the complete path, yeah. See it reflects the complete path here. For this Africa.za.Johannesburg this custom, it shows complete path of this. So how the node has to be stored internally is what specified by the node style bus. How each node has to be stored. Okay. Okay. So then once you specify the node style, the next property is about specifying the levels. Say you can have hierarchies in n number of levels. I don't really know whether it is 99 level limitation or something, but you can basically specify the node levels here, and each level will be represented by one attribute. Say level 1, say country, level 2, let's say city, level 3, some street or something. So each level would be represented with the values of one attribute. That is what level based hierarchy. Now when you specifying the attributes at each node level, we have something called level type, which is like defining more semantics to those columns. Let's say I wanted to build an hierarchy on date, like say year, month, year, quarter, then month, then week, then day. In that case, I specify columns like say year, quarter, month, all this. But since in HANA we only have attribute or measure, I would like to have the flexibility where I explicitly define some more properties that this is more relevant to date, year, this is more relevant to time characteristic. I cannot, because in BW you have time characteristics or you have normal characteristics, but here it is only attribute or measure. But for some of the attributes, you would like to explicitly define more semantics and say this is more relevant to time or this is more relevant to units or what it is. Then I can use something called level type where you define the semantics of it. Say For year month does not make any sense, but here you may not find much importance on this, but you remember we had some time dimension which by default was creating a hierarchy for you on the dates. If you see this, see, for it is normal attribute like year, but I want to explicitly define more semantics towards saying this is more like a time characteristic with years. This is where it is. I can say drop down. You'll have all these options where this is more of defining more semantics to that column, saying explicitly this is more relevant to time. Yeah, I'll say this is more of time with relevant to years. Okay. So system one, we are just providing more meaning towards that column, nothing else. Okay. Then basically you can do, see, you can do sorting here. You can do sorting of this. See, I would like to have this column here sorted, can be sorted based on some other column. Say, I can even sort based on the same year itself. If I just leave it nothing will take later. If you leave it blank, it means it will does sorting. Here is a specify the sorting order. It does do sorting based on this column itself. But you want these nodes of this column to be sorted on based on other column, I can still do that. Order by so and so. Yeah. So that is where you specify the level. What attribute do you want for this level? And then if you want to define any semantics on that, if you just leave it blank and specify the sort, it will be doing sorting based on the values of this node country. If you specify some other column, then it does do sorting on this. It will sort these country values based on the values of this column. Okay. Next, there is a property called aggregate all nodes. In the advanced tab, there is a property called aggregate all nodes. Um, you'll have options like true or false. Now, what does this mean? When you say false, what happens? When you say true, what happens? Let's say I have a node, parent node as A, and I've got two children, A1 and A2. There was a transaction with the parent A as 100, let's say, and there is a transaction with child with A and A1 as 10 and A and A2 as 20. Yeah, this is how we should understand. Say there's a transaction which says A as 100. There's a transaction which says A specific to A1, it is only 10. I have A which specific to A2, it is, let's say, 20. Now, when I'm trying to show this hierarchy, I will get as A. Under A1, I would see as what? A1 and what? A2. Let's say I have a column called amount, something. Yeah. Now, what you want to say, if not general, if you go general hierarchy, let's say this says 10, this says 20. So generally we would expect this to show me 30. So for A, I would get to see 30, and when I expand A, I would get to see the split of it. For A1 it is 10, for A2 it is 20. Yeah. Otherwise, I also have some transaction performed at A also. So other expectation of seeing the data is, apart from this 30 of A1, A2, I also want to include the posting what was done at aggregated level also. This is, so at A, I get to see as 130, which says 30 of the childs and 100 is the value what is posted at the parent level. And when I expand, I get to see there are two kind of requirements. So if you don't want if you don't want that value at the aggregate level to be considered to be aggregated, then I'll set it as false. If you say true, it will include even the aggregated value also. So if I set that as true, it will include even the value what is posted at the aggregated level. If you set it as false, it will not consider the value what is posted at the aggregated level. That's what aggregate all nodes. When I say false, it will not consider the value what is posted at the aggregated level. If you say true, it will also consider the value posted at aggregated level also. And the default member really doesn't work, but actually what they say is only one point I can say. When you want to specify some default member of this hierarchy, you must specify in the same style of the node style. Suppose if your node style is, let's say, level name, then your member should be, let's say you want to specify some India as a default node. It should say country.in. So based on the node style, you must specify the default member. But I don't know what is the purpose of default member. But only point I know is in whatever the way you specify the node style, you must specify the default member in the same style. If you say name only, then you will just say in. If you say level name, then you will say in country.in. If you say parent path, then you will say all.in. So and so. Okay. Okay. The next property is about orphan nodes. Okay. Orphan nodes in the sense in BW pretty much when you try to do a report on hierarchies, you'll generally find some nodes of an hierarchy which does not belong to any of the nodes. So they come into unassigned nodes. Yeah. When you look at report with BW with using hierarchies, if there are some nodes which does not belong to any of the parent nodes, they'll be shown under unassigned node. So those are called as orphan nodes. Orphan nodes means which does not have any parent, who are not been linked to any parent. So how do you want to treat those orphan nodes? If you say orphan nodes as root nodes, then all the nodes which does not belong to any parent will be shown under the root node as all, like similar to BW. If say root nodes ignore, then it does not show those orphan nodes at all in the reporting. If you say error, it throws an error saying this does not have a parent. There's one more option called step parent. When I say step parent, say for example, if there are a child who does not belong to any node, I can say they have to belong to this node. So when you select that as step parent, it will ask me what is my step parent. If I say India, then any states which does not have any parent will be projected under India only. Like that, but again, when you specify the step parent, it must be same way as the node style. If the node style is level based, then I should say country.in. Yeah. Okay. The next property is about root node. Whether you want the root node for that hierarchy or not. If you say add root node, you'll get a node as all at the top. If you say do not add, you will not have the root node at all. Okay. Then there's a checkbox called multi-parent. So if you enable this checkbox multi-parent, there can be same multiple children having to the same parent. Say for example, one child, let's say, can correspond to multiple parents. For example, if you take some district in Telangana, previously it was under what? AP, but now it is under Telangana. Now you will see some, when you look at the transactions, historically you will see some transactions saying Hyderabad as AP, and then currently you will see some transactions saying Hyderabad, Telangana. So now when you try to formulate hierarchy saying Hyderabad as one level and then state as one level, then you will get to see there will be some transactions which is forcing it to be under AP. There is some transaction which will be forcing it to be under Telangana. So that is where one child has got multiple parents. If you want to allow that, then you will say multi-parent checkboxes. Got this, boss? Any doubts with this hierarchies here then?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, in node style we have three levels, right? Level name, name only, and name path. If you select name path, is there any performance issues there? because it is stored as unique, right? When while using this hierarchy in reporting level, it will speed up the performance like that.
Because it will not have any performance issue, because either it shows you in any way along with level name or along only with parent, it is still holding that link internally. Without maintaining that link, it cannot show you represent hierarchy bus. Okay. We cannot say if it is storing like this, it is affecting performance. No, because either way it stores or not, ultimately it has to maintain that linking between those nodes. Yes. Yeah. Hello.
Got it, sir. So there is no performance in whatever we want, we can select there based on our requirement,
Yeah.
right, sir?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. You said we can consume this hierarchies in when we use for MDX. So, is there any way to consume these hierarchies in Webby reports?
No. 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 Suppose if I try creating the IDT universe, but they're saying in the latest version in the it's in the roadmap that we're in the future we'll be able to consume that view directly in the WebB without universe. Yeah, if that is the case, might be in future might be a chance, but now if I try if I try creating a HANA business layer,
Okay.
straight where I can consume the view directly. If I say 9 cubics package and some sales hierarchies, see, you don't get any navigation parts. Each one is separate dimension. Yeah? You have to see. These all separate dimensions.
Yeah.
Each dimension is forming one. So you have to create your own custom and then explicitly create your own paths again. Okay? Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? But one more important point is if I'm using Design Studio, I'll be able to leverage that hierarchy suppose. I can, because if you look at Design Studio, what I'm doing is when I log into Design Studio, I don't think I have it. When I log into Design Studio here, I will touch this tool later, but Design Studio can be played on like you can use any of the startup mode. It can be startup mode could be HANA or BO Enterprise, or it could be I'll say skip. See, Design Studio is like a standalone tool which can be used as a front-end tool for any of the applications. Say, for example, if I go to tools, if say preferences, I'll say my startup mode is HANA. Okay, then this will act as if it is a front-end tool for HANA bus. There's no way concerned with BO Enterprise at all. Yeah. See, it is only your requirements. So there's nothing like any criteria. It's how do you want to see? See now, when I'm trying to log in with Design Studio, straight I'm getting connected to this HANA system SP9, and I'm trying logging with say SAP Cubex 8001. Yeah, I'm connected to that server. Yeah? Why it's not allowing? I think it is stuck again.
So, sir, we can download the Design Studio and work it on the HANA database, right? That's
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. So it
Doesn't need a license.
does not need BO Enterprise. And what are the dashboards you create in Design Studio can be saved into HANA database on the Access engine.
Okay.
We can install Design Studio server on HANA database itself. Now, when I try to create an application here, say some name, let's say bring some cross tab. I want to have a data source, something like WAD, okay, where you get data provided. Here we say data source. Now when I say data source, it asks me to select the view, models, then this is the one with hierarchies. I just have to set up the initial view, what should be layout of the query. Then I can say partner ID. You know, partner ID had an hierarchies. I'll get that hierarchies. See, I'm able to use those hierarchies here straight away. See now, I'm able to use that hierarchy straight away. So what are the hierarchies I created in HANA, I can use that hierarchies. Yeah?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
The
sir,
other-
the additional semantics that we define.
Please louder.
at the
louder.
level tab.
I can't hear you all. Please bit louder.
Is it okay now, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, the additional semantics that we defined as a level type, those will be available only during development or for the end user too.
You mean to say the semantics, yeah, of the levels, yeah?
Yes.
That is when you're designing it. It's not for the end user.
Okay.
We're okay now?
Hello. Sir, regarding node style, you are telling 3 types of node style are there, so there is no performance issue.
Yeah.
So when will you go for this level style? I mean, is there any scenario we need to go for level name like that?
There will be always certain, let's say when they're seeing this way, some user says he wants to see with complete path. That is where you play with, yeah?
So based on user requirement, if you want to see complete path, we will go for name path like
That's
that.
all,
Right?
no? That's all, no? Yeah.
Okay.
Because when you see this column view, it will have something called query result node. It's mute. It's like query node. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay, boss. Boss, mute someone. Okay. Now let's get in. Now points to be noted. We're pretty much done with the attribute view. Can we will not be able to include measures in attribute views? Yes. Yeah. No matter what, you cannot bring in measures into attribute views because your data category is dimension. In older versions, this property was mandatory. Key attribute is must. Okay. But now we are able to create attribute view without a key attribute also. But it makes good practice to maintain a key attribute. Can we have multiple columns acting as key attributes, boss? Yes or no? Can we have multiple columns acting as key attributes? Yes. But the important
Yes.
point is both the columns must be referred from same table only. Say for example, I've got mat and plant, both can be set as key fields, but both must be referred from same table. I cannot have mat from one table, plant from one table, it can't be set as key fields. If you have multiple key attributes, all of them must be referred from same table only. Yeah. And we can leverage different type of joins like text join, referential join, inner join, left out, right out, all this. I know I'm not touched up on the joins at all. I'll take the separate session, but for now we can leverage these joins. Yeah. And but text join, you understand, we're basically performing a join in the text join when you want to include information which is maintained in multiple languages. Yeah? When you want filter based on the login language. In the data foundation, can we filter the data in attribute view? Can we filter the data bus? So in the data foundation, I can say if I want to see data only for one country, I can say right click, apply filter, and say country so and so, right?
Yes.
I can use equal to, not equal to, in list or anything. Yeah. There's one more. Can we make that filtering in attribute view dynamic was? Yes. There is an option by using the for now. Just take it as placeholder of input parameter. Then I'll tell you later how it is done. Yeah. We can create hierarchies in attribute views. Yes. And these attribute views can be leveraged into analytical views. Yeah. And you're okay about semantics, like providing more meaning towards that column. Yeah. Here also I can do that. Say for example, I get in, not echo, but still. So I select a column. I have a column called currency. By looking at this column name currency, you understand, okay, it is going to hold currency codes. Let's say the name is something like say YCR, YCY. Let's say some name is something like this. Yeah. If the name is something like this, how do you understand? Okay, this is holding currencies. Can you understand? When the name is currency, it makes sense for you. But if the name is something different, do you understand that this is going to hold currency codes in it? No, right? So even system cannot understand. But in BW, system is able to understand that it is going to hold currency codes because I create these kind of attributes as unit characteristics. You getting what I'm saying? In BW, even the info names are really different from Z cur, Y cur, whatever it is. System is able to understand those info objects as currency codes, holds currency codes because we create that as unit characteristics. But in HANA, since you only have attributes and measures, now this field is just treated as an attribute. But I would like to provide more meaning towards this column and say that this is going to hold currency codes. So I can provide more semantics there. This is where the button here, look at this. I say assign semantics to this column and explicitly say this is actually going to be a currency code. This is more like defining this as an unit attribute. You getting what I'm saying? You will just have only attribute and measure, but you provide more meaning with semantics and differentiate those attributes, whether they are time based or unit based or what it is. Okay. And then you know about alias tables, because can I use same table multiple times into data foundation? Yes. By using alias concept, I can do that. And whenever you deploy an attribute view, does it create a column view automatically in the SysBig schema bus? Whenever I create an attribute view, it automatically creates a column view in SysBig schema, runtime object. And while creating join, you can set up the card. Even if you don't set up the cardinality, during the validation of the join, system will set up the cardinality automatically. And you know about there will be 3 different types of views: standard, time, and derived. When you're basically creating a time-based attribute view, it automatically creates a view based on m underscore time underscore dimension or m underscore fiscal underscore calendar, whether it is Gregorian or fiscal. And these tables can be filled with the data when you perform generate time data. But in order to fill the finance fiscal year tables, m underscore fiscal underscore calendar, we need to have the tables replicated as a prerequisite for TW09 and TW09B. And all the system tables for time based will be in S underscore sys underscore BI is a schema. Yeah. And I think this should make you clear, boss, now about attribute view. Any doubts now on the attribute view, boss? Hello?
Sir, this SysBI schema contains the time-related data.
Which one?
SysBI schema. One is SysBig
Yeah.
schema and the other is SysBI schema.
See, there will be some system-based schemas. One is SysBig, SysBI, Sys. All these are system schemas, and all your time-relevant tables, the standard time-relevant tables will be in SysBI. Yeah, not big. SysBI. Yeah. Yeah. See, others you can talk because it will take time for me to read the point. I'll unmute you all. If I'm muted, I'm unmuted. You can talk. Okay. Others. For first point.
So, sir,
Yeah.
when we practice doing this attribute views, right? So many times we get this error of activation or validation, wherein it talks about authorization of sys repo underscore sys
Excellent.
underscore repo.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether we have to give the authorization for the tables that we are using or to the sysbig schema.
Yeah. See, whenever very important point, it says. See, for all the HANA content, okay, which we call it as repository. Repository is something which is server space, yeah. Okay. And all your content, okay, HANA modeling, whatever you do, content is all stored in the server repository, which is maintained by user called sysrepo bus. Sysrepo is a user who actually maintains the entire system repository bus. And let's say when you create an attribute view, it is going to store that attribute view information into the repository. And that view will be maintained by which user? Sysrepo user. Okay. So if that is a case, sysrepo, suppose you're building some view. Okay, and in the view you're using tables of some Y schema or X schema. And now the sysrepo user should have access to read data from this schema bus. Minimum select access on the table on the schema in which the tables are being used in the view, so that when you try to see the view, the sysrepo manages that view, executes it for you, and give it to you the results. So when sysrepo is supposed to execute it for you, it will be able to read data from those tables, right? Because when you say view, it is virtual. Ultimately, at the runtime, it has to read from the tables and give it to you. So sysrepo will be reading the data from these tables and giving it to you in the backend. So for that, sysrepo should have access to the tables what is being used in the view definition. So we have to grant select access on the schema bus.
And since it is creating the view,
Select
since it is
on schema to sysrepo user. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me now. Yeah.
Yeah, so since it is creating an attribute for the very first time when you activate it, is there a create permission needed somewhere to be granted?
Not create permission.
All right.
See, two things. One is your sysrepo should have access to the tables what we are using, to the schema of tables what we are using in the view definition. And one more thing is, anyhow, you should have access, you should have a role called modeler bus. Otherwise, you cannot do it. There will be some roles for performing modeling. There will be two things. One is monitoring, and there's one role called monitoring. There will be one more role called modeling. Only when you have this role like modeling, you will be able to do the modeling. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Sir, I'm using one attribute view in analytical view. So in that I'm not able to switch off the fields or attribute view which I do not want.
You don't switch off because by default when you go to the star join and when you use this attribute views, as soon as you include the attribute views, by default they get in. See, now I took that column, so that column comes into this my view. it is used in the attribute view, they commit as shared here. Look at this. So I didn't want this, you can say hide here. So this column will not be projected from out of this view. Yeah. This is what you wanted, right?
Yes, so in data foundation we cannot switch off those fields which are not
In the
required.
data foundation you cannot get attribute view. Attribute views can only be used in star join. Yeah.
Star join, yeah. Star join. So in star join, let's say we have this sales order and I do not want this life cycle status.
You can also set hide
Cannot-
here also. Hide to true. Anywhere it is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it?
Thank you.
Next question.
When we are creating hierarchy, that we are facing that insufficient privileges like the issue.
Only for hierarchy you are getting the problem?
Only our hierarchy, yes, sir.
And without hierarchy you are able to activate the view. That's what you mean.
Yeah, without hierarchy we are activating, but when we are using the hierarchies, saying that insufficient privileges like that.
I don't think so. Are you using a different schema for creating using hierarchies?
No, sir, same schema only.
So what I understand is the tables what you're using is same, and if you're activating without hierarchies you're able to activate, and if I create hierarchies you're not able to activate. That's what it is.
Yes, sir.
What does the authorization is? What is the issue it says?
Insufficient privileges.
To what? To whom?
For a schema.
For a schema, that's what it is. You have to provide a select author. First thing is you need to have access to that schema. Then system also should have access to that schema. Two things should be done. Yeah. So
Okay.
in this case, what is happening? I have logged in a system user. I am formulating my schema, so I am the owner of it. I have access to that schema. So I am not giving any authorizations to myself. If the schema is different one, then the schema has to be assigned to you, who is creating this model, and also to the sysrepo user. Okay.
Okay, sir.
This is what I think you have it here. See this one. Grant select on schema to sysrepo with grant option. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. There is some small correction. Grant select on schema. Write keyword schema, then give schema name to. Okay. If there are no doubts, I would like to stop this class today. Tomorrow we'll go
Okay.
analytical view. That's what. So there will be logical reasoning. Hello? Abba, ఏ వాయిస్ అట్లా నీ వాయిస్ ఏం అర్థం కాలేదు.
But we did not receive the recordings yet.
See, it is taking a lot of time to upload. I'm uploading, still going on. Now the second video is done. Now I'm doing upload of third video. I upload all the 4 today, but nothing happened. I'm doing 1 by 1. That is my problem. So I think today should be fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you send that
Yeah,
video
upload 1 by 1. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing 1 by 1 upload. Okay, boss. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
I am unable to see the data at the attribute view after activating. I am seeing only structure. Again, I give grant permission to.
You're saying you activate the view, but you're not able to see database. There might be some problem with the filter. Okay. There might be some no data. First thing I would say, might be no data in the tables. If there is data, did you apply any filter which is stopping you to which is stopping the data not coming out? That could also be the reason. Yeah.
I didn't apply any filter. There is data, sir.
You did not apply any filter. There is data in it. Then is there some problem with the join? if you're joining some two different, let's say now I join this, if I join address ID to something else, so the join condition is never satisfied and there will be no result at all for it. That also could be a problem. It could be any problem. Yeah? I cannot say this. See, now I've joined, and my join is wrong, and there's no relationship between those tables, and then also I get the problem. Yeah? Could not execute grant select on schema to sys repo with grant option. You don't have privileges to assign that.
Insufficient privilege.
See, she is trying to give access of this. So now what you should do is, you need to take, you logged in as which user? Suchitra, you have logged in as which user now? You're granting select on schema to sysrepo, but you're granting it by logging in with you, which user was? Suchitra? With which user did you log in?
She
She's
is
not
trying to
having the
log in.
mic.
Best user.
She is trying to log in best. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I understand is you initially logged in with best user and you created your schema, and you're not able to give access to. Now try doing using this system and welcome one two. Try logging in with this user and then try to do. Yeah. W is capital again. Okay, W capital. When we try activating this view, we are getting the pop-up window. Select change. Because just mute yourself. Do one thing. Someone would have activated the transport connections in the backend. What do you do if you don't want that change to be asked out? Then what do you do? You get into a URL like this. SAP Cubex. There's a path. SAP, your server name and your access engine port. Your access engine port will be what? 80, and then your instance number. If the instance is 01, then it will be 801. SAP HANA /access/LM, life cycle management. Okay. So login. Do you want this URL? I'll do that. I've given that to you. Now when you get into this URL here, there will be something called settings. Just get into settings. Here they would have enabled this enable change recording. Make sure you remove this checkbox. Okay, then it should take care. Fine. You should not have that problem asking for change. Unit has nothing wrong. That is only for recording the changes. Okay? They're collecting those changes into some TR. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, when we log on with the best user, it says on the top server all the instances are not started. So
Yeah,
when I try to create
start all the instances, and you can do this way. You can also start from here. You select the server here. You can say right click. Here you can say start server, restart server. You first open the administration. When you get into administration, you will have landscape. You'll have all the servers here. If there's something which is not up and running, you can select this. You select and say right click, and you can say instead of stop, you'll have a start. Then start it out. Okay. You can say start missing services, it will restart all what is stopped. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, actually I'm trying to create one calculated column in attribute view to calculate the to calculate the difference between two dates.
Yeah.
So which functions we have to use, sir?
Then there is a function called days between. Yeah? If you go to calculate column there, the calculate column, there is a function called date functions, days between. Yeah, days between date 1 comma date 2, that will give you the difference. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. See, you can always see, we cannot remember all the functions. It always get into the help, and then functions. I showed yesterday, date functions. If you read through, because if you read for one, you try to touch others also, then you become strong. See, there's something days between. It clearly explains you what it is. So days between written so and so, so and so, so and so. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, boss. So we'll meet tomorrow again, and we'll focus on analytical view, boss. Okay. Thanks. When we try to activate the view, we're getting the pop-up window select change. I showed you, no? Sitaram, I've shown the same issue. For that itself, I was gave you a link and asked you to remove the record changing. When you get into this link here, when you get into this URL, make sure in the settings you remove this, enable change recording. Okay, fine. Then it will not start asking you the changes. Okay. Even if it is asking for change, nothing wrong. Don't worry. Yeah, means they've enabled the transport connection on it. Yeah, that's why it asks you for. When will we get last week videos? Yeah, as soon as they get uploaded, you will receive it. Don't worry. Yeah. I thought I could not upload all at a time. As soon as they get uploaded, I'll send it out.
पता नहीं मुझे पता ही नहीं है लाइट
Yeah. Okay, fine. Thanks. Yeah.